Hey everybody, welcome back to another news roundup. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late and just enjoying this little segment that we started up last week. We'll continue to do these every Saturday as I've laid out in the last few videos. So if you guys are enjoying this, let me know in the comment section below. But we got a ton of news this week, so let's just get right into it. So the first thing that we're going to discuss is Robert Zemeckis. Now, he has a new film coming out called Here, which stars Tom Hanks, Robin Wright, and Paul Bettany. So a bit of a reunion between Tom Hanks and Robin Wright from my favorite film of all time, Forrest Gump. Has officially set a release date for November 27th. Now, the unique thing about Robert Zemeckis as a filmmaker, and the weaknesses with him as a filmmaker is his reliance to technology. As time went on, he kind of became more infatuated with technology, and it seems with this, he's going to be implementing a lot of de-aging technology on Tom Hanks and Robin Wright. And more interestingly enough, he's going to be implementing AI technology within the production. So, you guys kind of know my thoughts on AI. If you guys have followed this channel for any any extended period of time, uh, please don't implement any AI stuff. I mean, it's just cheating the artistic value of the film, whether you're aware to it or not. Like, just don't, please. I don't know in what capacities he's going to be using these AI things, these AI, technology, but please don't. I know this happened recently with Late Night with the Devil. There was like controversy that surrounded that film. I did not see that film, so I'm not aware as to whether or not if it's apparent or not, or in what capacity. But apparently there were just like images that they used that were AI generated, and it did not rub people the right way. But I would be excited for Robert Zemeckis if this was the '90s, but it is not, because if you've seen his track record as of late, it's not been great. So I'm curious, based on just the reunion of actors and director, but and by the hope of what Robert Zemeckis can be, but I have my doubts based on just what I'm hearing from this. But we'll see how it goes. Next bit of news that we got to discuss is Brokeback Mountains. Bit of just a statement that was made by the director in regards to the Oscars the year that Brokeback Mountain was up for Best Picture. Ang Lee, who is the filmmaker, you all would know him also for Life of Pi, kind of similar in the vein of Robert Zemeckis, actually, where kind of tech-driven. As time went on, he became more tech-driven with films like Life of Pi, and then most recent film Gemini Man, which he tested different frame rates for that specific film, and that didn't really work out too well in his favor. He talked a little bit about the Oscars of that year, and he claims the movie, quote, had a ceiling, indicating, I mean, because Brokeback Mountain is a gay story, and he was claiming that the film had a ceiling, implying that the gay stories have a limited reach, even though it's nominated at the show to begin with. He also claims that the film gained lots of support, up to that much, insinuating that they lost due to sexism. So essentially, he's claiming that his film lost because of discrimination, basically. So that's basically like just what he's saying, even though, again, it's nominated at the show to begin with. My response to that, boo fucking who? I mean, he's happy because, well, he got his award for directing. I mean, he fails to bring that up, that he won the directing prize, but boo fucking who? I mean, stop claiming sexist or racist things when you don't get what you want. I mean, it's just an award show also, guys. I mean, this means absolutely nothing. So just ask what's her face, was it Halle Berry? I think that's who it was. Just ask her about what the Oscars mean. I mean, it just they don't mean anything, guys. They really, really don't. They don't add anything to anybody's careers. The only thing that it might do, depending on how you've set things up with studios, is that you might get a paycheck depending on just certain things. Just ask Christopher Nolan about that. But but yeah, nothing of a benefit really happens from these shows, and it's just silly. And to call discrimination on something so silly, it's like just stop. So the next thing we're going to discuss is actually something that happened today as of this recording, April 5th, which is the announcement of a couple of delays and release dates from Disney, specifically in the window of 2025 and 2026 window. So just to list them out in order here, the announcements that they made. The next Tron film, Tron Ares, has a release date now for October 10th, 2025. And that's all they have for 2025 for new dates and all that stuff. Following that, it rolls into 2026, and what follows from that is The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is going to be the next Star Wars film proper, last one being The Rise of Skywalker, and to this point it was kind of a mystery as to what the next Star Wars film was going to be. Looks like they're just going to capitalize on the success of The Mandalorian and go ahead with The Mandalorian and Grogu as their next project. That will be coming out on May 22nd, 2026. And then rolling into the summer, we have Toy Story 5. I mean, okay, like another Toy Story. I mean, generally speaking, I just don't really care for any of these announcements. But, I mean, out of all of them, I guess Toy Story 5 might be something of a curiosity, but not really. At this point, it's like, why, you know? But then again, I said the same thing with Toy Story 4, so maybe there's a reason for this to exist, but I don't know. I have my doubts. But that will be coming out on June 19th, 2026, so they're putting that right in the summer. Along with that, the week after, actually, is the... Or actually, no, sorry. That's going to be in July, this next one. Is going to be the Moana live action film. Because Moana 2 is scheduled to come out this year, which was basically just a show that got jerry-rigged into a sequel. But the live action film that they're planning on doing had a release date for June 27th, 2025, but got pushed back all the way to July 10th, 2026. More likely because they didn't want to be released so close to Moana 2, which kind of makes you wonder why you don't just do the live action and make the show as intended. But as I could tell from these releases, I mean, nothing really interesting. Like I said, Toy Story 5 probably being the closest to something interesting. It's a smart move, I guess, to have Mandalorian be the next Star Wars film, but I feel like that can also work against it. Just, the last season, a lot of people were not really fond of, and generally, Star Wars itself has not really been popular now for like a good year or two, so who knows what next year might look, or it's the next 2 years, how Star Wars might be, so, but, yeah, those are the dates, those are the delays. Generally speaking, not much to get excited for. Maybe Toy Story, depending on how that comes out quality-wise. But generally speaking, not much for me to really get excited about. So, but moving on from that, we got to discuss the Wolfman. Wolfman is coming back. I don't exactly know how they're going to interpret this, but we have another Wolfman on the way. Was initially supposed to come out this year on October 25th, but it has been delayed all the way back to January 17th of 2025. It's being directed by Leigh Whannell, who recently directed The Invisible Man, which I actually quite liked. It was actually, I think, a worthy upgrade of the original, and funny enough, his other film being Upgrade. So, but... I actually really liked The Invisible Man. I thought it was I thought in many respects it's better than the original. So I'm curious to see what he does here with the Wolfman, because The Invisible Man, there is a lot of room to be very creative, but now with Wolfman, you kind of now have to lean on CGI. If they are going to do CGI, it'd be awesome if they do practical effects. Highly doubt it in this modern age, but um, this was originally going to star Ryan Gosling, and now it's starring some other kid, Christopher Abbott, something like that. I forgot, but it was also initially supposed to be directed by Derek Sharavanrans. I totally butchered that name, sorry. Same guy who directed Blue Valentine, and most recently a miniseries, I Know This Much Is True, which was really good. If you want to see the best of Mark Ruffalo, go watch that show. It's just really, really good. But I'm curious if this will match the atmosphere and that sense of tension that The Invisible Man brought. We'll see. I have my doubts, but curious. So we'll see. Next bit of news we have to discuss is a new Matrix film is on the way for some reason. Being written and directed not by the Wachowskis, being written and directed by Drew Goddard, notably known as a screenwriter, but specifically with The Martian most recently. He has directed a few films, namely The Cabin in the Woods and Bad Times at the El Royale. Not familiar with those films. I know what they are, but I have not seen them. So, from what it sounds like, it appears it's going to be a spin-off with like a different cast in mind to lead it. Likely a similar approach to the upcoming Alien Romulus, where it's a younger cast and they use the lore as like some sort of backdrop. I could care less. I have never cared for The Matrix. I didn't care for the new one that came out. I don't understand the appeal at this point, why they feel that they need to do another one. Never understood the love for the franchise to begin with. I find the first film to be highly overrated. Just because, it has some notable VFX. I don't really care. I never bought really the characters, really invested into any of the situations. They're not bad movies. I just don't understand just why people like them so much or hail them as such big, great pieces of work. I just don't see it. So I don't really care for this. I don't believe it's the fifth film, though. I've been seeing a lot of headlines saying that it's the fifth film. I highly doubt it, just based on what I'm hearing. It's more likely just a spinoff. So, but yeah, don't really care. But I'm pretty sure a lot of you will probably find this interesting. But yeah. Next bit of news is regards to Alex Garland, who has got a film coming out called Civil War, which I am really not interested in. But he claims to be stepping away from directing. Some people are calling it saying he's retiring, but from my understanding, he claims to have a lack of creative interests, and is really, kind of detailing the stress with operating in that role, with being a director, having to work with actors, crews, etc. And most notably, was kind of addressing the exploitation with performers within his work too, and how he's wishing not to be doing that anymore, or wishing to be that person in that role, having to do that sort of thing. He was using Ex Machina as an example, where he describes how your intentions and the depictions may not always coincide, which I think is very, very, very intellectual and very, very honest. A lot of filmmakers would not see that sort of thing. They would just see artistic merit and nothing more. So it's very, very cool to see that he's actually noticing that in his work and having that as a reason why he's stepping away. So, but he's not officially calling it quits. That's not what's happening here. He's more or less just stepping away for now. Not really interested in directing, but more so in writing. He's still going to be writing films. He has a movie coming out with Cillian Murphy. I believe it's 28 Days Later. So he's going to be writing that, and among a few other things here and there. But basically just stepping away, and sometime in the future probably will direct something. But considering what Civil War will likely be, which appears to be intentionally vague, though politically motivated, which is to say the film wants to have its cake and eat it too, but not tell us what kind of cake it is, and seeing his previous solid work in Ex Machina and Annihilation, and The Disappointment in Men, I think it'd be a good spot to leave things if he was serious about retiring. Good to leave it good before you turn sour, because you just see the kind of the downhill that's starting to form. You have Ex Machina, you had Annihilation, which was his peak, and then Men kind of was a the starting of the downhill. And I feel Civil War will be more or less the same, at least just for me. I'm not interested in seeing it, so I think it would be a nice spot to leave things for now for his directorial efforts, or if he's serious about retiring, then yeah, because at this point, based on what I've seen of him of his films, he would be 2 out of 3 for me, not including Civil War. But I love how honest he's being with himself. Seeing how being a creative can lead to exploiting others for personal gain. I love how honest he's being about that. And because it's the truth. It's the truth in regards to cinema and the truth of filmmaking. So I'm glad that he gets that. And that being the reason why he wants to step away, I support it. I support it 100%. And considering the quality of the films that may be coming in the future with this film and beyond, if he were to continue within a certain consistency, every 2 or 3 years, yeah, probably best to step down for a little bit and just, give it a few years. I don't know. Just, yeah, I think it's just a good time, if you were to ask me. So, speaking of time, Jonathan Majors, who we've discussed before on this channel, is looking to be sentenced next week for his guilty verdict. They were trying to throw out the case. Of course, they were going to try to throw out the case. Majors' team was trying to throw out the case, but the judge denied their requests, and he will proceed with punishment listed out next week. I highly doubt it will be anything severe. As I've said before on this channel, I don't think he was guilty in that specific incident, but because I think that the woman ended up suing him or going after him again for now reasonable claims for assault and other things. But in regards to just this specific verdict with that specific night, as I said before, I don't think that he's guilty. But if he was to be charged of anything else, seeing the evidence at court and seeing other things that they brought up, he would be guilty. So in this incident, I don't think that he is guilty. So I highly doubt he'll get anything bad. Probably just probation, a few years. Probably just something minor. But his star is gone, though. He's definitely not returning back to Hollywood, not anytime soon. So, or at least, it'll be small. It'll take him a few years to build his name back up. So, but in any bigger capacity, no. So, but to some extent, deserved, because scum should not be allowed in the industry. So, in my book, he is scum. So even though he wasn't guilty here, in other places, not as innocent. So yeah. So don't see much happening here for him, and deserved in this capacity. He should not be given so much punishment in this incident. But if it was for anything else, it'd be a different story. So there you have that. So last thing we need to discuss is the first quarter of the year has wrapped, and just generally just giving a recap of just how this first quarter went. It's still a trying time it's still a trying time. There's been more flops than success stories. Um, However, though, the success stories that have come so far this year are promising for what the next few quarters could bring. Um, you see some of the box office that's happened this year so far, just naming a few off the top of my head. Um, Dune doing really well, surprisingly. Um, and, I didn't think it would do as well as it did, but it did really well. Godzilla looking to do really well. I mean, April's a dead month, so it'll probably do well. Um, Kung Fu Panda doing well, and then a couple of few smaller films here and there with smaller in that budget size that did well as well. Imaginary, Mean Girls, so there were a few things here and there that ultimately did well, um, and I mean are actually considered uh, successful stories. Now people have to understand the measure of box office because people get it confused all the time. The rule used to be twice, two times, but now it's three times because you have to consider just how cost of things are nowadays, and generally just us in a recovery period. Hollywood relies a little bit more money, or needs to see more money coming in order for it to be worth a worthwhile investment. So it's not. So the standard for how much money they need in order to be considered a success has changed because of coming out of the pandemic and trying to recover from the pandemic and all the strikes, all these other things. It's there's more money that needs to be made, essentially. Um, so it's three times, not two times. People get that confused a lot. So, um, but comparing to the success stories to a lot of the flops, there's still a handful of things that didn't do well. Ghostbusters recently is not doing well. Argyle being the biggest flop this year so far. And then a handful of things here and there. Madam Web, uh, Lisa Frankenstein, who was going to go see that. Um, the Bob Marley thing didn't do well. I heard not a lot of people were talking about that one, but that didn't really do well. Um, and then a few things here and there that didn't do well also. Um, comparatively speaking, yes, it's still a trying year. It's still, there's still more flops than there are successes, but and it does seem fairly grim looking forward. Looking into the second quarter, as there isn't many pieces that look to do great business. And once again, that's a lot to do with the awareness of streaming. Thank you, Hollywood. Because it's really changed the landscape of not just release windows, but just interest in the theatrical experience. Like we've said before, people are more content with waiting at home for like a month to get their movies. And they're not wrong in feeling that way because that's what studios are doing. And that wasn't the norm a few years ago. Um, like looking into the summer, there's a potential for a few things to do well. I'll list a few things here that I think might do well, but compared to the stuff that likely isn't to do well, it's still looking a bit grim, even if there's a little bit of optimism there. Um, so, basically, what this quarter is showing us is that it's kind of a question mark, but ultimately it's leaning more on it's not probably going to turn out so great going into the summer. But as this quarter also kind of shows us is that perhaps we shouldn't doubt so much, It's because there were a few things that ended up doing pretty well. But when you start looking at the things that didn't do well, comparing that ratio, it's not looking too great moving forward. So we'll see. I mean, there's things that are guaranteed that are to make money, like Deadpool and Wolverine will obviously make all the money of the summer. That'll be the movie of the summer. There's always that one movie that does really well in the summertime, so it'll be that movie. But everything else, kind of a question mark. A few things I'm kind of confident in that might make money, but a lot of other things I have doubts. So we'll see. We'll see how things turn out. So, but that is it for this week's news roundup. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Just let me know if you guys enjoyed these segments. If you guys enjoy just the little news catch-up videos, if you guys like it or if you guys not like it, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. All your thoughts in regards to these little news bits from this week. And yeah, so thank you guys for tuning in. And again, hope you guys like this new segment, just experimenting on the channel, just trying out some new things. So let me know all your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye.